Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a brand new match preview on the channel. Hope you guys are keeping well. I suppose we have to label this one as a must-win again for Vitor Pereira. Burnley come to Molineux on Sunday in a really crucial match. We've had Vitor Pereira's pre-match press conference today and seems fairly positive, which is good. Almost the opposite of defeatist. He's very positive going into this game, which I suppose he needs to be when your team is winless and you need to try and win football matches and try and keep the fans on side as much as you can. As always, give my thoughts from that, the latest team news, and we'll have the opposition perspective later on in the video as well. You'll catch some of the match stats popping up across the screen as well, and please go and check out our channel partners over at Betmate as well. Wolves will be part of the 2 p.m. Sunday pot, I'm sure. So if you want to get involved in that, test your football knowledge and maybe win some cash alongside that, then feel free to scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the top of the description. Please gamble aware, 18 plus, and UK residents only. But yeah, firstly, I apologise for some sort of the lack of content in between games. Obviously, we had the preview, the match reaction. I get the guys on doing the fans react, and we do the podcast. Just seems to be a little bit mental. My creative juices aren't quite flowing at the moment, and I suppose it would be very easy for me just to sit here and read a script and read out quotes exactly what people have been saying, and I feel it would be a very boring video. But I think, hopefully things will perk up a little bit for me. I've got a lot going on. I'm away this weekend as well, so I'll miss the game, which is frustrating. Obviously, I'll still be watching it, but I won't be there live at Molineux. So fingers crossed we do have a win, and unfortunately there won't be a podcast in the usual time this week. But anyway, the match itself is huge, I think, for Wolves, for the fans, for Vitor Pereira. We need this, and I know there will be a certain percentage of fans that still will probably feel like this is papering over the cracks, and that may well be the case. But what Wolves need to do on Sunday is show us that the work they've done in training this week, which, by the way, Vitor Pereira said in his press conference was very good, and he hopes that they can translate that from on the training pitch to the Molineux pitch. They've got to show us that they are capable of staying and competing and performing in the Premier League. Come 4 o'clock on Sunday, ideally, we all need to be going, flipping heck, that was very, very good. Of course, again, there will be some part of us thinking, well, it's only Burnley, no disrespect to them, because they've had an okay start to the campaign. But we need to see some sort of reaction, because ultimately, last weekend against Sunderland was not good enough. And despite us having a good amount of shots and controlling the ball and keeping a lot of the ball, the quality of opportunities we have been creating has been nothing short of abysmal. You may have seen, and I might mention it later on in the opposition perspective, there was an alternative Premier League table that The Athletic posted this week, and Wolves were top of that, because in terms of our conversion rate of big chances, we're very, very high, and we're good at that. But the issue is, we've created 5 big chances in the 8 games so far this campaign, and that is not good enough. So what needs to change? Of course, Jurgen Strand-Larsen's getting some stick. I think a lot of it for me is the players around him. Marshall Manetti, I understand why Vitor Pereira likes him, but maybe when things aren't going to plan like they are at the moment, do you potentially take him out of the team and bring in someone with a little bit more creativity? Hwang Hee-chan is fit, and I know he gets a lot of stick, but Vitor tends to like him. He's very direct and he can run with the ball and get you up the pitch. Jean-Ric de Bellegarde, a player that has been tried and tested, and who was a big part of the reason we won the 6 games on the bounce. There's a lot of different scenarios and things that need to fall into place this weekend for Vitor Pereira, and I do not envy him one bit in trying to figure out what is going to work on Sunday. Burnley are a very difficult team to break down. They had a phenomenal defensive record last season, and to a degree they've continued that hard to break down sort of label so far this campaign as well. But Vitor, like I said, was very positive in his pre-match press conference, but I have no doubt if Wolves are not on the winning side this weekend, there's going to be a lot of trouble, and there will be a lot of pressure on this board to potentially make a change in management, because you cannot go 9 games in the Premier League season without victory and then if you spread it back to last season, I think it was 4 games on the back end of last season with a win. That would be 13 games, plus your pre-season games, if you wanted to include that. Not that I think that's worth much, that you've lost. It's not great form. So Wolves really need to get a positive result here. But there's so many things in that football team that just need to fall into place. And if I went onto my predicted lineup now, I do not have a clue who he would play. I mean, I could just see now the one that I put last week, and I'd put Fer Lopez in. Obviously, Rodrigo Gomez got the nod ahead of him. And I think the rest of it was close to being bang on. But I don't know. Does he, like I mentioned, you got Hwang, you got Bellegarde. Does he stick with the same team? Does Fer Lopez get a shout? Does Agbadou come back in? Do we go to the back 5? I think based on what was said, and Jürgen Strand-Larsen made some comments, which I think Sky published today, saying that I think a portion of the squad weren't too happy with how the back 5 was working. And I think now they've switched to a back 4 and they can create more, and maybe, I say create more, but have more of the ball, albeit not creating those clear-cut opportunities. I think they're more aligned in regards to how they're playing. So I think the shape is going to stay as a back 4. But in terms of the personnel, I mean, if it were me, I'll put it on the screen now. I'd probably go Johnston in goal. I think Bueno keeps his place at left back. I think you bring Chachua back in at right back, to be fair, because I don't think he did an awful job against Brighton. And I think Doc maybe limited us a little bit there. You're back to, I think Krejci definitely keeps his place. Santi Bueno, I think, would as well. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Vitor knows this is the job to save, the game to save his job. Agbadou could come in. I think Gomez and Andre start as well. I think Strand-Larsen starts as well. The other 3 places are up in the air for me. Rodrigo looked bright last week, but it just wasn't quite clicking. I think Arias probably keeps his place, and it's the other 2. I think Vitor keeps with Monetti, but if I had to change it, I'd probably go, and I know people don't like him either, I'd probably go Hwang and Fer Lopez, or Rodrigo Gomez and Fer Lopez. I'll put Rodrigo in there, because if Hwang was injured, or not 100%, he might not be fit to start. But I think you've got to change it up. And I think if you go back 4, I know you want a little bit more stability in there. I think you need a bit more flair and creativity in there. Monetti may start, and I wouldn't be 100% against it, because Burnley have got a very good midfield. But we need to see more from Monetti. We need to see more from Jean Arias. We need to see more from Rodrigo Gomez. We need to see more from Jürgen Strand-Larsen. And even the likes of João Gomez, we need to see more from him going forward. Something needs to click, something needs to change, and it's got to be soon for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Because if not, we're going to be in a lot of trouble, more trouble than we're already in, and Vitor Pereira is going to be in a hell of a lot of trouble as well. So we'll wait and see. I had the pleasure, though, earlier on or today actually, speaking to Joe from the Turfcast, to get the Burnley perspective ahead of this game. Do they see it as a much win? And life in the Championship, is it so bad if worse came to the worst for Wolves this season? So then, guys, delighted to welcome Joe from the Turfcast to get the opposition perspective ahead of this weekend's game. Joe, it's been a short while, I suppose. Obviously, a season away from each other. How have you been keeping?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. How are you? You all right?
Yeah, all good, thank you. All good.
It's good to see you've not got a big black eye this time. I think last time we were together,
was that where it was last
I think
time?
it was. Yeah.
yeah. There's about 18 months ago, before Gary O'Neill's fall off, I suppose. But Burnley, lots happened down at Turf Moor. You come down, you come back up again.
Yeah.
A really, really solid season last year, especially defensively as well. But first 8 games of the season so far, a win last weekend for you boys. How have you been finding it so far?
Yeah, I think we've adjusted to life pretty well. I know we are the lowest of the 3 promoted sides, but when you look at the teams that we've played, I think we probably are where we expected to be, maybe, if not slightly above par. Because we played Sunderland and Leeds at home, and they're the 2 games that we've won. So they were the 2 games when the first 8 games of the season come out that Burnley fans were earmarking as they're the games that you've got to be winning if you stand a chance. Also got a point against Forest, which when the fixtures came out, we're like, that's going to be a tough game. But obviously, they've not been great this season, so potentially could have got a little bit more there. But we'll take a point on the face of things. But yeah, we played Liverpool, we played Man United, we played Man City, we played Tottenham, we played Villa. We've had a very tough start. And these are the games now, obviously Leeds included, where it's finally sort of like easing off a little bit, where we're playing some of the teams that are in and around us towards the bottom of the table, obviously yourselves included. Next week we've got Arsenal, so forget that. Then the week after that it's West Ham. So we're looking at these games now hoping to not pull away. That's probably a bit dramatic and a bit sort of like too far, but to try and give ourselves a bit of breathing space between ourselves and the bottom three for the time being, at least.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Leeds and Sunderland there. I think Wolves fans would have earmarked those two as winnable games, and we've lost both of those. We've lost both of those so far. So I think for Wolves, there's a lot of pressure going on into this weekend, which we'll talk about. But how different do you feel this Burnley squad is to the team that from the last time you were in the Premier League? Obviously, Scott Parker changed things a lot last year. Really, really strong defensively. Compared to maybe what we saw under Vincent Kompany. So how is this squad shaped up? Do you think it's in a better shape to potentially fight for Premier League survival?
I'd say so. We were awful last time in the Prem. Let's not beat around the bush. I think it's chalk and cheese the difference between the two sides. We couldn't defend for Toffee last time we were in the Premier League.
Yeah,
time and time again, we'd be 3-0 down in like 15 minutes, and you just know that the game's done. Then you know what I mean. Even playing against some of the lesser sides in the Prem, the game's done. 2-0 down within 10 minutes a lot of times as well. Excuse me. So, we just didn't really have a team that could sort of like grab the situation by the balls and sort of like drag themselves through it last time, you know what I mean? Whereas this time we have a team that we can sit deep, we can hanker in if we need to. We did it against Leeds in large parts of the game, if I'm honest. We'll just let them have the ball and say, right, we've already scored a goal, because we scored quite early, thankfully. We've already scored a goal. The onus is now on you to break us down. And they had a lot of possession. They created a couple of big chances, but ultimately they couldn't break us down. They couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and obviously that's what football's about. So we wouldn't have been able to do that last time in the Premier League. We'd have just carried on attacking and probably conceded 4 goals and then lost the game 4-1. So it's completely different, and I do feel we're in a better position. Look at where we have 7 points. I think we're on already. I can't remember how much we had at this stage last season, but I think we'd won 1 game, for example, and that was a rearranged game against Luton. So I think actually at this stage of the season we hadn't actually won. It's just when you look back at the fixtures, they put it back to when it was meant to be. So we were awful last time in the Prem. So last time it was just all out attack, playing nice football that looks nice on the eye. Basically for brand company. I mean, it's done well. It's done well through it. Bayern Munich looked at it and said, "Yeah, we'll have him." Obviously, he's won the Bundesliga since then and just got a new contract. But it didn't work for us, and it didn't work for a relegation battle. Whereas the Scott Parker football might not be as pretty on the eye. Some fans might get frustrated when they're watching it, opposition fans especially. But ultimately, I think it puts us in a better position to try and stay in the league.
I am really intrigued by Scott Parker this season, especially because you'll probably know, and you've probably had so many people mention this to you, but he always seems to can get teams out of the Championship, but for whatever reason, just doesn't tend to perform on a Premier League level. So this year, for me, with how well he did, especially, like I said, defensively last year, if you could frustrate teams and grind out results again this year, I think this could be genuinely the year for him to keep you in the Premier League, possibly. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, well, I like him because of the football. There are some Burnley fans that so I think when we got beat against City, 5-1, 6-1, whatever it was. There's a few accounts and a few people started saying like Parker out and things like that. And we played Villa the week after. Yeah, honestly, I genuinely thought our fan base was better than that. I don't know if some people just do it for reaction or what. They don't actually. I don't know. But then we lost to Villa. And admittedly, we were very poor against Villa. It was probably the worst performance of the season. And again, the same accounts. Oh, this isn't working, is it? We need to make a decision now. Then obviously the week after we're beating Leeds, so let's everybody just calm down. But by the way, that's a very small sample size. The majority of Burnley fans do back him and are happy with him. But for me, I'm very happy with him. I back him. He speaks well as well. He's he's got that Cockney charm about him. Loves the cardigan, as everybody knows. Loves the Tom Brown jacket or cardigan. By the way, I think that jacket that he wears is more expensive than my house. But he's good. I think he's pragmatic. He shows that he can play a certain style in this league that will give us more of a chance. And it's all with Burnley fans. Like, Kompany came in, and don't get me wrong, we loved the style of football. And that season in the Championship, when we won it at a canter, won the league at Ewood Park, obviously my favourite ever season following Burnley. That's including the season we finished 7th under Sean Dyche in the Premier League. But there's something about the way that the likes of Scott Parker plays and the way that Sean Dyche plays, it just sort of like resonates more with Burnley fans than the other style. Don't know what it is. It's just probably because it's a working class town that will run through brick walls for anyone. And obviously the team's doing that for us now, and that just feels more like Burnley. You know what I mean? It feels like we've got our Burnley back, to be honest with you. Yeah,
I feel like sometimes at Wolves we miss. Well, at the moment we're missing that. Obviously, we're struggling at the moment, but it just feels like. I think sometimes even if you lose a game after 90 minutes, if you know everyone on that pitch is given 110%, you can't really say much. Yeah. But more often than not, when you're losing football matches, it's a lot of it looks like it's down to a lack of effort sometimes. So it's been a frustrating start to the season for Wolves as well. I mean, we're bottom of the table, as you know, still looking for our first win of the season. We thought it would come last week. We thought it might have come the week before. We thought it might have come against Leeds. It's just a waiting game for us at the moment. Pressure on Vitor Pereira. Obviously, in my opinion, I still think we've got a squad of talented footballers, but is there anyone there, Joe, that you're sort of looking out for that could be a danger on Sunday? Look, I'm not expecting you to have watched every single minute of every Wolves game, but is there any names out there that you think they could cause us a problem on Sunday?
Is he Chan still there? Is he still there?
But he's probably
Has he gone off the boil a bit?
He's not a favourite at the moment, yeah.
Is he not? Honestly, I haven't seen any Wolves games this season. I'm at the stage now where I don't watch Match of the Day because I just don't like it. Yeah. So I think I might have watched the highlights against Leeds just because I wanted to see how Leeds got on more than anything, because I felt like they obviously come up with us.
He did score that game, I think, Kwang, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, that probably did. Yeah, that's probably where it's come from. But I do remember him doing well last season or the season before, I think. So I'm not sure what's happened, whether it's obviously Pereira, he doesn't suit that certain style, but he was the type of player that did used to worry me when we come up against you a few seasons ago and things like that. But obviously not going great for you this season, so I'm not really sure I could choose anybody and to be a favourite right now, to be fair.
Do you think this is, it's a must-win game for Wolves, a must-win game for Vitor Pereira? I don't know. It'll probably be a bit clearer in the next couple of days or so. I don't know if we lost, if this would be his last game, or if the club are going to give him a bit more time. But I think you go 8 or 9 games in the Premier League without a win, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble, I think. But do you think, it's an important game for Burnley, no doubt, like you mentioned earlier on, but is it a must-win for Burnley, do you think, or is it just important to take points off teams like Wolves?
Yeah, I just probably think it's a please do not lose. Like, I got asked the same question from the Leeds fan last week. Is like, do you see it as a must-win? I don't think any game is a must-win at this stage of the season.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you are bottom of the league after 8 games without a win. Then in that scenario, it probably is a must-win, especially when you've already lost at home to Leeds, you've lost to Sunderland. Was that at home or was that at the stadium? Yeah. Not when you look at their start now, it's probably not that bad of a result, really, but losing at home to Leeds, obviously they've only won twice this season. One of them was against Everton, where they was gifted that god-awful penalty. So that one is a bit of a bad result, especially when you've got the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin scoring against you. I do remember him scoring against you, thinking, Jesus, I'm Dominic Calvert-Lewin scoring goals, but I think it was more a criticism of Wolves than a positive for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But for me, if Burnley draw this game, I'll be happy. I'm not saying that I don't want us to win, of course I do. It is, and I know I say this as a Burnley fan who's just come up from the Championship, and Wolves fans will be saying the exact same thing. But I am earmarking this game as one of the games that we can win. So it's hopefully we do get the win and then put a massive sort of like buffer between ourselves and you. But if we draw and keep the gap at, what will it be, 6 points? I think you guys have got 2 points. Sorry, 5 points. We've only got 7. I thought we had 8 then for a second. To keep the gap at 5 points for now, it's only a couple of games. Obviously, get another win, then that makes it 3 games. So a draw. It's a bigger game for you than it is for us. There's more pressure on you than there is us. There's more pressure on your manager than there is ours. So I do think it is a must win for you, but I wouldn't say it's a must win for Burnley. I must not lose.
One of the conversations we're having quite often as Wolves fans, and I in my mind, I just think, regardless of how bad it's been, I do not want us to get relegated. But obviously, you've had the experience in recent times a little bit. How is that feeling of going down? And yes, you're going to be winning games. And I suppose if you're coming back up, it's maybe not so bad. But how is that feeling of being sort of in between the leagues? Are you enjoying it? Or do you wish you could just stay in the Premier League for a long time? What's your opinion and thoughts on it?
It's weird because obviously I do want to stay in the Premier League for a long time. It's probably pointless. Some fans are like, I prefer the Championship. I'd rather just finish 7th in the Championship and do that every year. I'm like, what's the point? Like, genuinely, there's just that's just no existence. Just finishing 7th. I don't want to become. I know if this is a bad example now because they're doing well this season. I don't want to become another Middlesbrough, always threatening to be at playoffs and then just not. For me, I always want to dine at the top table. I always want to. It's the same in life as well. Like I'm an ambitious person. I'll never just stand still. I always want to dine at the top table. I always want to be, sat amongst the big boys and playing against the big boys every single week. However, having said that, I do prefer being in the Championship because you win every week, because we win the league or finish second, because we beat Blackburn home and away most seasons. It is much better, and the lack of VAR as well. Like genuinely. Something that might resonate with you, you've probably got that feeling now of anxiety and like, I hope we don't go down. I'm desperate for us not to go down. The first year we went down, when we started the season under Sean Dyche, that's how I felt from like January till May. I'm not going to be dramatic and say I weren't eating and I weren't sleeping, but I was really anxious about the football club and the relegation. Like, oh, please don't get relegated, Burnley. We got relegated, and genuinely, the day we got relegated, the last game of the season at home against Newcastle, it felt like there was a weight lifted off my shoulders. Because right, I don't need to worry about that anymore. But we're in the Championship now, and that season, the season after, like I said, my favourite ever season following Burnley. So when we get relegated the year after, I'm like, meh, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We'll probably bounce back straight back up again. Obviously, it doesn't always work out like that. You might end up as a Stoke or a Blackburn
That's my concern. I think everyone thinks just because we've been in the Premier League so long and then we'll go down, we'll just smash it and come straight back up. And I don't think it's as easy as that.
No,
especially
it's
with how
not, like I
competitive
said,
the league is now as well.
I mean, not a great example because we're a very small club, but Luton were the best of the 3 promoted sides the season before when they finished third bottom. And then they were awful last season. They're awful again this season.
Yeah.
Coventry did the same thing right there on the way back up. But being in the Championship, if you do well, is better than being in the Premier League battling to finish 17th. But on the flip side of that, it's no ambition in doing that every single week. So yeah, for me, down at the top table and be in the Premier League, but happy to admit that the Championship is more entertaining.
Yeah, no, I'm sure a lot of Wolves fans will be interested to hear that anyway. Joe, as well, looking at Sunday's game, any Burnley players that we should be looking out for? Anyone had a bright start so far this season?
Forward players few and far between for us, really, in terms of sort of like attacking flair and things like that. It's the defensive players that you want to be looking at. Obviously, Maxime Esteve, I wax lyrical about him every single week. I think he's had one bad game in a Burnley shirt, and that ripped Man City. In fact, to be honest with you, it was a god-awful game as well. It was bad. 2 own goals, constantly out of position. It was awful. But he's got a massive future ahead of him. I think he'll even go as far as potentially playing for France. It's going to be difficult to obviously break into that team. I respect that, but he's a very, very, very good defender. In terms of forward players, like I said, few and far between, but Jadon Anthony's had a good start to the season. There was quite a lot of reservations about him being in the Premier League, but he's had a great start to the season. We've got our best players, in my opinion, and I feel like we get disrespected a lot by opposition fans. I see he's a friend to be fair, but Connor from One Leeds, since we beat them, for some reason, he's just completely lost his head and keeps saying that we're the worst team in the division and stuff like that. When you look at our midfield 3, I think it's better than Leeds' midfield 3.
I like that midfield 3, yeah.
Yeah, it's a brilliant midfield 3. Genuinely really is. You've got Florentino, who just bought from Benfica. You've got Big Les, as we call him, from Chelsea, Leslie Ugochukwu, because we can't pronounce his last name, and Jack Cork. It's a brilliant midfield 3, and I'd say it's probably one of the best, if not the best midfield 3s in the bottom 10, bottom 8. It's fantastic. I feel like a lot of people don't really respect Burnley as much as they should do. So watch that midfield 3, because I think we'll probably win the midfield battle on Sunday, hopefully, and that will hopefully win us the game.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I always used to pin down our midfield as if they play well, we'll probably go on to win the game, because we've got João Gomez and Andre, but he switched to sort of a 4 at the back, so he might pack out the midfield a little bit more. It'd be interesting to see who starts. Florentino Luis, obviously, I've always had a closer-ish eye on him because of obviously the Portuguese links and so on.
Yeah.
And I was, no disrespect to Burnley, I was surprised when he came to the Premier League for a side of that stature. How has he been individually? Has he shown his quality?
Yeah, fantastic. I think he's... I can't remember. I didn't get the stats ready, but somebody was sending me loads of stats a couple of days ago on how many tackles he does. He's an absolute monster. I think his work rate is insane. His nickname in Benfica, you might know this, was the Octopus, because he's just absolutely everywhere, constantly winning tackles. He's superb. He genuinely, and I said this at the start, and obviously Sunderland fans started crying about it, but I genuinely believe it probably ended up looking a little bit silly now, but I genuinely believe that he is the best signing that a promoted side has made, or I thought that at the time. Jacques has come in and done very well, to be fair, and a few of the Sunderland lads have, but honestly, watch Florentino on Sunday. Super, really, really good. I am surprised that we've got him. But it's one of them with Burnley fans. Every time you get a good player, we've had him for like 8 games, if that. I think we didn't sign him before the first game of the season. Burnley fans have this defeatist mentality, as people from the town do. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But as soon as you have a good player, everyone's like, he won't be here for long. Man, just enjoy him, mate. Let's go on about how much of a good player he is. Oh, but he'll be gone by the end of the season. Oh, come on, just watch him. But a lot of Burnley fans are just like resigned already to losing him to like a really, really big club and stuff. He is that good, mate. He's really, really good.
No, it'd be interesting to see what happens with him long term as well. But I mean, you talk about signings. We signed João Moutinho, Raul Jimenez when we came up. I think it's always a good conversation, though. That is, to be fair.
I meant this year, not sorry. Ever.
No, I mean, we could have a conversation all day about that. No, that's fine. And Joe, obviously, we spoke about the fixture itself, but what are you thinking? What's your score prediction for Sunday?
I don't, you know what? I am a little bit apprehensive about it, but thankfully we've got a bit of a buffer now. Whereas even if we do lose, yes, there'll be a meltdown on Twitter, so I'll have to log out. But
Yeah.
even if we do lose, it's not the end of the world. The worrying thing for me would be that Sunderland and Leeds have already beaten you. So if we do go on to lose, then it don't look great for us in terms of the rest of the season. However, you're at a stage now where you have to win. I don't think you're at a stage where you had to beat Leeds or you had to beat Sunderland when you played them. So I do feel like you will up your game. I think it's going to be tight. I'm going to get splinters in my arse a little bit here and sit on the fence and probably go for a 1-1.
Yeah.
My worry is, I remember a few years ago, I think it was the season we went down, actually, it was us and Newcastle at first battling down at the bottom before they got the Saudi money, and then they obviously rose away. And they hadn't won a game all season. It was around this time of year. I think it was even a little bit later. I think it was November. And then they beat us comfortably. Then they just went on and survived comfortably as well. So I'm a little bit worried that we'll do that for you. But feel like we're a better side this year than we were that year. We've got a very good midfield, so I'm hoping we can just keep that 5-point buffer between the two. If someone offered me a draw now, I would take it. But I know, as I said earlier, I am earmarking it slightly for a win, but it's a must not lose for us, so I probably will take a draw.
Yeah, interesting. We did a Q&A on our website as well, and the Burnley fans said 1-1 on there as well. So I think you're all thinking similar sort of things. I mean, for Wolves, a point's always nice, but I think we need a win. For the club, for Vitor Pereira as well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Unfortunately, I'm not there. I'm away this weekend, but it'll be very interesting to see what the atmosphere is like, especially if Wolves go behind quite early on. So we'll wait and see. But Joe, thanks for jumping on. I'm sure I'll catch you for the reverse fixture as well. Where can people find you if they wish?
Yeah, just search Turfcast. We're on all the social medias. Facebook's our biggest one. We just hit 60,000 on there now. I wish we had 60,000 on YouTube. If we had 60,000 on YouTube, I would not need to go to work. So search me on YouTube instead, please. Search me on YouTube instead. We've only got about 5.5 on there, but we're on them all. We're available as YouTube, podcasts. We're on all the social medias, even TikTok. I get a younger lad to run that for me because I'm too old to be on TikTok, I think. But yeah, we're on everything. Just search Turfcast Podcast and you'll find us.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you very much. And yeah, apart from Sunday, mate, best of luck for the rest of the season. I'll catch you soon.
Yeah, you too, mate.
Cheers, buddy. Big thanks to Joe. It's always great to catch up with him as well. I'll make sure I leave a link to him and his channel and podcast in the description down below. And guys, a huge and crucial game for Wolves. Let me know your thoughts going into it this weekend. Like I said, unfortunately, I won't be there on Sunday. But of course, I'll give you my reaction. We'll have the fans react as normal. And the podcast maybe up in the air next week. It could be a little bit later on, but obviously we've got the midweek game against Chelsea as well on Wednesday. So I'll keep you guys up to date with everything that's going on. As always, hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you on the next one.